Hello, this is Heavy Thrash of Nasty Metal Productions channel at YouTube. Back again with another video, and this time we're going to be talking about, well, as you can see on the title, is European power metal and US power metal, or how about just power metal in general. But we're going to look at least ones from the US and Europe. Now, I don't have anything from like Asia, you know, like Japan or some, which there is probably definitely some power metal in Japan, but I don't have any power metal from there or bands, so I'm just going to at least stick to the ones that I have. However, when it comes to at least the giants of power metal, I don't have, at least from the US, one of the ones I don't have is Manowar. I don't have any Manowar in physical format. The only thing that probably comes close is probably on vinyl. You know what? It's only on a comp, actually, just on a comp. It's actually songs from, I think, Under the Sign of the Hammer, or what album is... No, I don't think that's one of the albums. Which one is... Oh, whatever, it's one of those albums. Whatever album Guyana came from, that's where that fucking, whatever that one is. I have that track on, that another one on the Rocket Cotton Steel comp. Then again, there is another band in there that actually probably does deserve some mention when it comes to the European side, that or Scandinavian. You know what? I am definitely gonna bring that in here, and I'll show that within this video. So, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Alright, I grabbed it. It's in within the stack. Let's definitely head long into this. Again, I want to also get this out of the way. I don't, again, out of all the other giants I don't have any Running Wild on physical format. I don't have any Gamma Ray. I don't have any Blind Guardian. I don't have any Grave Digger, so don't expect to see any of that in this video, but those are honorable mentions when it comes to the European power metal side of things. So let's definitely move along with this. This could be on the European side, but I think one of the first power metal songs somehow tends to lean into this. Now, I'm not sure who was really considered one of the first power metal bands, at least before, you know, some bands like Manowar or something, but at least in 1982, some people really consider one of the first power metal songs would have to be on this one, Accepts Restless and Wild, and you probably know what song it is, since I'm holding this right in front of the camera, is none other than Fast as a Shark, which is, some people consider one of the first speed metal songs. Some people consider it one of the first maybe thrash metal songs, but really some people consider it one of the first power metal songs, or the ones that really kind of spearhead that sort of style for European power metal or melodic speed metal, whatever you want to consider it or call it. It's one of the first, and it pretty much on here. And this album, even in itself, almost has kind of proto power metal leanings to it. Like, you do have Fast as a Shark, you do have even like Restless and Wild, or maybe Have the Pack would have a little bit of that, or maybe Demon's Night, or Princess of the Dawn. Really, some of this album is definitely pretty heavy, and I think even the album before this one, like songs like off of Breaker, like even the title track off of Breaker, or Run If You Can, you know, that album definitely had at least, but that was a transitional album to what to, I guess, to prepare people for what will be unleashed upon their ears. But this is probably the most, at least, what would help define the genre as a whole, at least on the European side. Now, I'm not sure what was considered one of the first power metal songs on the US side, but that we'll definitely get into that. Me, I kind of want to at least get at least the European stuff, or at least what would pass as European. Power metal or something, whatever. Now, I was going to, now for comps, I definitely am going to show it right now. Would be, like again, the Rocket Cotton Steel, which, again, Man of War, and another one that definitely deserves mention for the European side is none other than the mighty Heavy Load. And there is a song on here by Heavy Load, and it's a song that was recorded during the Stronger Than Evil sessions, and it was I Am Me. And it's a great song. You only can get that song on this one. But it's a great track as well. Again, Stronger Than Evil has definitely got some power metal leaning to it, but even Heavy Load themselves have all had that sort of power metal-like tinge to their sound. They seem to be compared to the likes of Manowar, but they seem to almost have more in common with the band, let's say, like Manila Road, where it's just more a little heavy on the heavy side, definitely. You know, Manila Road are pretty heavy as well, but still, they have definitely sounds for that. However, a European power metal band did cover a Heavy Load song, and that was none other than Hammerfall. And it was the beginning, this track that pretty much starts off the Stronger Than Evil album, Run With The Devil. Geez, song, can't remember, but it was that, and I don't have any Hammerfall in my collection. Again, another giant of the European power metal genre or side of things. Now, I am going to show another comp in here, and it's actually for the US power metal side. And it's none other than Shrapnel Records US Metal Volume 2. And Shrapnel almost helped spearhead the power metal side, along with Metal Blade. And there's definitely quite a bit on here, like Wild Dogs are definitely considered like a US power metal band. Culprit are definitely one. Vixen, not the all-female band, the one that featured Marty Friedman, who would end up go on to play with like Hawaii and Megadeth. And then another one on here, that's about it for at least for, Virgin Steel is on here as well. So again, even on one of the other comps also had Manila Road. And they, again, Mark Varney pretty much helped spearhead the US power metal side of things. You know, that along with Brian Slagle of Metal Blade. So, let's definitely move on at least to the US power metal. Now, you've got the giants for the European side. Like, you've got, Halloween. If you're going to talk about European power metal or power metal in general, you can't forget about, Halloween. You can't forget about them. You can't. If you're going to talk about power metal, you can't forget to talk about this band. You can't. It's Walls of Jericho, which is a classic amongst the power metal stuff, or the EP, that as well. Then you got the, what's in here? Let me bring this out for a bit, because I'm forgetting that album's title. It's featured in here. See? They're not even showing it in here. That's bullshit. Keepers of the Key or something like that. Part 1 and Part 2. Those are definitely looked at as power metal classics as well. So, that was definitely something like that. Okay, so let's definitely move on. Probably one of the biggest power metal albums will have to come from none other than heavy metal giants Judas Priest with Painkiller. This one is considered at least one of the most influential power metal albums, and it is definitely a classic amongst, and some will say overrated in some parts, but it serves its purpose. And I know the fucking yeah, god damn it, too dark. However, when it comes to other European, let's say like the more lesser known ones, for an instance, this one I think comes off as a bit of some will say not nearly power metal, but it is kind of on the borderline of it. It's none other than Crossfire with Second Attack. To me, some of this is very much got that sort of sound. Let's say more like Attacker on the US side, definitely. That's another band I don't have in my collection. Yeah, I guess I suck. But on here, you got stuff like the song Second Attack, you got Feeling Down, Highway Drive, Atomic War, Master of Evil, Scream and Shout, Running for Love, which is actually a ballad. And it ends the album, but still, to me, this definitely does come off as a bit of a power metal album. It's definitely from the European side. Great album, though. If you haven't heard Crossfire, definitely check this band out. Classic shit. This one is a pure sleeper, and I did show this in one of my videos. This is none other than Mad Butcher, and they're from Germany. So again, they come from like almost the country that helped spearhead the power metal genre, at least for the European side. And some of this album is a little power metal in some places. It does have a little bit of that. Songs such as Machine, Hypnotized, there's definitely a bit Loser, I guess, Free Wind, Silhouette in Red, Children of Tomorrow, you know, a little bit of that. It's just got almost that German sort of style to it. And it is a German band, but it's definitely got some of that. What would I guess would pass as power metal? Still, I like that album as well. Some tend to don't care for it. Some say it's a shit album, but I don't care. Now let's definitely go into the US style, because that did it for the European stuff. At least for what I got, that is European power metal. So let's get into the US side. Now, for when it comes to power metal, probably what I think will come off as, you know, I'm going to show that little, again, would be, you know, you got the Giants. Let me start with the Giants first. You got none other than probably one of the biggest giants of them all is Queensryche. Yeah, Queensryche once had at least a sound that was very close to power metal. They did. Now on this one right here, the EP, it's definitely filled with it. You know, songs such as Queen of the Reich, Knight Rider, Blinded, and then the Lady Wore Black. It's a great 4-track EP and probably the best that Queensryche ever recorded. Now I don't have the Warning, but that one I think was the last one where it did have some of that sound left, but they're starting to progress in more progressive metal. But something that now would end up something like a cross between progressive metal and prog. I mean, power metal and progressive metal, somewhere in that sort of style where it's mixing it together. But we'll get to another band that actually really took that sort of sound to the next level. And you got other ones as here. You have, like, you know, Metal Church, or close to that sound, you know. It's a little like on the and again, metal, you know who fucking Metal Church are anyway. Let's say, but if I have to say if their sound is very similar, it's gonna be mostly to like of the likes of like Omen or Savage Grace, I guess. You know who Metal Church sounds like, but they've got a little sound very close to that, or Obsession. On this album, again, does have that, but again, they're like looked as U.S. power metal giants. Another one I just forgotten, it's Agent Steel. They're close to there as well. Another one that's like, you know, power metal giant or something is none other than or well known upon it is Jag Panzer. Now I have the EP, but this is probably the most U.S. power metal style that they have, because it's more closer on here. It's more closer to like the likes of Lead Lord or others. You know, the known ones. You know, yeah, but still, they're when it comes to U.S. power metal, Jag Panzer definitely is on that list. Or words not coming to me as much. Again, another giant. And it's none other than Armored Saint. Very much, and again, they are a Metal Blade band. They pretty much came from their, the EP, or the, you know, lesson well learned off the Metal Massacre 2 comp. But they are, you know, definitely a power metal band. However, to me, while I'm here, it does have some power metal sounds to it. I think the one album where they really kind of, where the power metal sound really came together was none other than on the third record, Raising Fear. This one has more close to that power metal sound of, you know, the likes of somebody like Metal Church or Omen, or not really Hellstar, a little too not as complex, not as too melodic than that, but more maybe like Jag Panzer or somewhere on that sound on here. It's just a great record though, definitely, and it does boast from the best album artwork. Even that's something that U.S. power metal seems to have, is also some pretty cool artwork. Look at that. To me, this one looks more badass than this. Sorry, I know some are gonna not like me for this, I guess, but I don't care. To me, it just looks more appealing for an Armored Saint artwork than that. It's just, look at that. Again, just look at that. That's just fucking badass. I'm sorry. And that was my exposure to Armored Saint as well, was through that album. Besides the song, okay. Another one that is a giant amongst the U.S. power metal is none other. Oh, wait. Or one that are recognizable, but I did say, though, that... Shit. I was gonna say that on the Queensryche, the band, you know, because of after their EP, they kind of almost started to take on the Warning, kind of almost mixing that power metal sound, but this time mixing with more like a progressive sort of style. Well, I did also say that that I have a band that really took that sort of sound to the next level, and they are definitely a well-known band upon the power metal sound, or progressive metal, is none other than Fate's Warning. On this album, it's like, well, probably starting with the Spectre with I Don't Have, they really started to really epitomize the style of progressive metal mixed with power metal. That's what they, on this album, Waken the Guardian, very much, it's heavier than Queensryche, yet it sounds like Queensryche, again, I think it's his name on here is John Arch, sounds just like, he's have a style that's very similar to Jeff Tate, but this is pretty much what people probably would have wished that Queensryche would have took after, let's say, The Warning, or maybe after Rage for Order. Something a little heavier. But, hey, whatever. When MTV has you, or turns you into, like, poster boys or something, like MTV, Love Boy, I don't know what the... something like that, you're pretty much... no. Queensryche was pretty much already turned to the other side of the spectrum. And maybe that was due to Jeff Tate. Anyway, another part of the Giants would be, or well-known ones. It's on vinyl, but some tend to recognize them as a power metal band, would be none other than Chastain, Rule of the Wasteland. David T. Chastain, really just a great guitar player, but on this one, it's like definitely got that US power metal style. More definitely on the spectrum, I guess, on like, let's say, maybe Jag Panzer a bit, but not too, almost like, maybe a little like Fate's Warning, but not as heavy. I'm trying to think of a comparison. Armored Saint, I guess, comes comes close. I guess maybe Queensryche, I guess. Maybe a little heavy, or God, not coming. Maybe Legion. I don't know. It's weird. But they are definitely close in that sound. Definitely close in that sound. I don't know, I gotta speed this video up. Moving on, again, one of the giants, I guess, for power metal is none other Hellstar. Pretty much one of the, again, they're a Metal Blade band, and Metal Blade is pretty much known for having quite a bit of, power metal bands, or spearheading some of those, the US style of power metal. You got, on here, it's a Distant Thunder, Nosferatu, again, classic albums, or classic standouts of the US power metal. To me, though, I think the one album that really, where Hellstar really did kind of, I don't know, I like Nosferatu, but Distant Thunder really just comes off as probably my favorite Hellstar album at this point. But still, that one can come next to, like, Burning Star. Great fucking albums. Probably one of the, now they came in a little late to the game when it comes to power metal, or the US side of it. But it's one that you cannot forget to talk about. And it's none other than Riot. While this is the Unleash the Fire album from 2014, but I don't have it, but I will definitely eventually get that album. It's Thundersteel. That's when Riot really started to morph into more like a power metal, speed metal, type of band. They really started to on that one. It's just, and some of that album again predates like Painkiller, because it's almost similar in style, but it's just great. But still, Riot were one of the few ones to really be considered a power metal band, or on the US power metal. Now it's like get to at least the lesser known ones, I guess. It's time to start to do that, because again, like I do at the European, it's time to do the lesser ones. So this video again is going to be pretty long. So hopefully you've got stuff to kind of tie you over. This one is none other than... Wait, what the fuck? Pantera. Why are they in here? Aren't they like a fucking groove metal band? Were they the ones that influenced all those shitty new metal bands or fucking metalcore, like Lamb of God and all that bullshit? Well, this is an album before they became groove metal, because before they did, they kind of were like a glam band, almost. Well, it's like the first two albums, like Metal Magic and Projects in the Jungle. But starting with I Am the Night and Power Metal, they kind of started to bring a much more heavier sort of sounds to it, almost turning in to a US power metal band. And on this album, they really kind of blended that well together. And it's definitely with new vocalist Phil Anselmo. Say what you will about the guy after this, you know, at least after Cowboys from Hell, you know, he started sounding so, you know, that's, you know how he sounded on those. But on here, and at least little parts of Cowboys from Hell, he really was more in that Rob Halford vein. He really had stuff like, he had the voice that's very similar to that. On this album, it pretty much has, it's almost Judas Priest worship, half this album. Very, and most US power metal bands always have a bit of a Judas Priest sort of influence. And on this album, they really start to sound more like, say like Chastain, or maybe like Riot, or maybe like Armored Saint. You know, they'll start to sound more like those US power metal bands. And you got songs such as Power Metal, such, you know, the title track. You've got like Over and Out as well, which really do come off as like just melodic US power metal. Even the song Down Below. This is just, and this is actually, to me, I think the best version of Down Below is actually on this one. And while I guess some will say that the best version is the one with the original vocalist Terry Glaze, but to me this is the best version with it, because the fucking Phil Anselmo is just to me this is where he really was worth the shit. Let's just put it that way. There's another one. Again, we're kind of, again, a little more known, but they're on the Shrapnel side, but did come from the Metal Blade side, and it's none other than Trauma. Showed this in my last video, but there is a little bit of a power metal thing going on in this one. Again, they kind of, this one they really start to sound like Chastain, because most US power metal bands that were assigned to Shrapnel had a sound that was very similar to Chastain. Very much so. And this is where they really kind of sound like that. Moving on. Definitely a sleeper, though. Definitely a sleeper. I guess a bit of a sleeper, I guess, because some of these are going to be on vinyl. But, again, it's on the Metal Blade side. But a band that probably could have been on the Shrapnel side. And it's none other, Predator. Showed this in my last video as well. And they, a little almost on the Chastain side of it, but even much more thrashier sounding. Almost like Savage Grace. Almost like Savage Grace or Obsession. Not as heavy as Obsession, but more like Savage Grace, actually. So it's got that. And Jeff Prentice is almost in that league of, like, you know, David T. Chastain or some of those guys. He's just a shredder. Just a shredder. That's why I kind of thought, is like, how come this was the only album they ever released? The second album probably would have been probably just as good as this one, even better. Again, probably one of the, it's, again, back to the artwork. That's this is the reason why they didn't go as far, because of this. And I almost thought that was fucking hilarious that I was watching, like, it was on the, Heavy, the Story of Metal, where they were talking about the PMRC or something. They kind of go on, like, the ads for what the PMRC thought was, you know, very, like, that should be given, like, the, advisory or parental advice, you know, some of the most sexist or just outright absurd album artwork for that they can't believe is getting put in the record stores or something. One of them ended up being this fucking artwork, which was like, what the hell? I fucking, like, I really didn't catch that at first when I first saw the Heavy, the Story of Metal, but when that little ad came, it was like during the 80s, definitely. But they fucking brought this artwork up, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This one needs a fucking print. To be quite honest, people definitely would joke, yeah, this pretty much does, because it's the most heinous looking artwork. Look at that. What the fuck? And they all keep saying, like, what the hell is he wearing? Again, going about the artwork, it just looks so ridiculous. Definitely to people, that's one of the worst heavy metal artwork ever. But to me, yeah, it's not a very good artwork, but the album itself, I like that album. I think it's a criminally underrated record when it comes to at least a speed metal or even US power metal. To me, that album is pretty much in that vein. Okay, moving on. Now, most of this band's output is not very US power metal style, almost like the technical thrash or something, but this album right here is where they really were kind of, where they sound a bit like a US power metal band, and that's Wrath with Fit of Anger. They really did sound a bit more like a US power metal band on this one. A little like closer to like Jag Panzer or Metal Church or oh jeez. I mean, like, I'm not really like Liege Lord, but somewhere like, it's like Jag Panzer, Metal Church, and somewhere around there. Because songs such like Children of the Wicked, What's Your Game, Music to Bleed's Bones, Sudden Death, Fall Angel Machine, and the whole record is great. And this is the, like again, I showed this in one of my other videos, but it's the Netherlands pressing. It's a Holland pressing on the Megaton Records label, and it's the original version of the album. Because of when Medusa took it, they decided to add 3 different tracks, but also get rid of the version of Sudden Death that appears on this version and replace it with mostly on CD releases with the demo version. Not bad, but still, it's like, boo. But still, to me, this is the version of Fit of Anger that I prefer. Is the 8-track version. 10-track one is kind of, even though it mixes a song that was recorded during the sessions of it, I think it was Vigilante. I remember it was Vigilante. It was recorded, and it pretty much sounds just like this. It's like in the very style of this one. I think it was recorded during the session of this, but wasn't released until that one. So props to that one. But still, good record though. Alright, another one that definitely I would say that comes off as a US power metal band. You know what? First, let's get to the last CD, at least for when it comes to the style of. Because, you know what, yeah, you know what, moving along. Another Metal Blade band. This is, Bloodlust. So now, not technically a US power metal band. Again, just like with Wrath, or this album is like the only one that really came off as a US power metal album. After this one, they really just started to be like a speed metal, thrash metal band. But on this one, there's like more bit of a power metal influence, more like from like Savage Grace, Omen, or maybe like not really Jag Panzer, but more like Obsession, you know, somewhere around there, or maybe like Agent Steel or Metal Church, you know, somewhere around there. But this one is more melodic than Agent Steel, at least on the first album, since you know, Skeptic's Apocalypse, but still good. You know, the songs like Ride to Death, no, Ride to Death is a good track as well. But I think the one song that really, what really kind of gives a sound, it's sort of power metal boost, is actually song Soldier of Fortune. You know, the acoustic guitar sound before it, and then you end up going to like, I don't know, it's just a great track. And Guy Lord is just he's just a great vocalist. To me though, I'll say I like this album more than the Predator one because of its, I don't know, it's a little more raw than that one, but it's definitely got a sound that's very close to that US power metal sound. Just a great record though. The CD copies seem to butcher that album's mix or master. It just sounds like crap. Because I downloaded that fucking King, not the King, one on King Fowley's label, Old Metal Records. That one fucking sucks at sound. I could never get into that album because of that, but upon getting the vinyl, it just sounds better. I don't know, it's because it's less fuzzy. To me, on that one, just sounds so fuzzy. It's just weak. Okay, we're definitely getting to the last pile. This one showed in my last video, but this is where power metal really does start to get mixed with like thrash metal, and that's Power Lord. Again, I don't need to say any too much, but it's kind of close to that. If you like, you know, I don't know, if you like US power metal, I guess you'll pretty much like this. But it's more on the vein of Jag Panzer, Liege Lord, or stuff like that. You'll like this. Oops. God damn. God damn. Alright. This one does come close to like again, kind of close to like the power metal and thrash metal being mixed together, but to me this one is Piledriver Stay Ugly. Now, granted, Piledriver are really not like a power metal band in some places, but this one is actually on the US sort of power metal style. Now, all of you are going to be thinking, isn't Piledriver a Canadian band? Granted, yes, it was built in Canada. However, Gord Gertchen on this record is pretty much the band members that are backing him up on this one are pretty much members of Virgin Steel who are from the US, more like New York. So in a way, it's practically a US power metal album. And this album is probably the most melodic and most, you know, close to that sound than Metal Inquisition was ever, because that one was like a speed thrash metal one. This one just mixes both speed metal, power metal, and thrash metal together, creating almost, it's like almost like a style like maybe like Agent Steel or maybe even like Virgin Steel. Don't want to say Jag Panzer, but apparently more like Omen or Metal Church or you know, somewhere maybe on that sort of style or in that vein. It's just close to that. Songs such as Metal Death Racer, The Fire God, Chaos, The Lord of Abominations, Flowers of Evil, and The Execution, all just great songs. To me, this is the definitive Piledriver album, in my opinion. Yeah, Metal Inquisition is a good one, but to me, this one's my personal favorite and will always be my personal favorite when it comes to Piledriver. Last one. This is where things get to be crazy. If anyone, this is where the beginning of mixing power metal with even eviler. So there's like power metal on the evil side. And you do have, and nowadays you do have where power metal bands or mix it with like, let's say black metal. or maybe death metal. You know, some that tend to just mix things, you know, all together because it's just getting crazier, crazier, and crazier. But the first time a band really put that to the test was none other than Satan's Host. This band really was one that put that, because at the time of the 80s, black metal was starting to become a genre. You know, like Venom and Bathory, or even to some extent Merciful Fate. You know, or maybe a Celtic Frost. You know, you get all these different bands that come up that start to get considered like black metal, because during the 80s it was unheard of to be called a black metal band. It was unheard of for what was being called it. This was before Norway decided to go along and really take their fucking style on that. But this one really is one of the first. So, here's this band. Here's all these different, like, you know, all these extreme metal genres coming up. And here, guitarist, can't think of his name. But here, this band comes along and they're like, you know, it's like who like all the 70s stuff, who like all the heavy, you know, the 80s metal and everything, or even some of the extent the 70s metal or something, you know, they like all that shit. But then here comes all the different stuff like Venom, here comes Celtic Frost, here comes Bathory, here comes, you know, Merciful Fate, here comes this stuff. But you know what, and they wanted to, but what vocalists are they gonna get that can really set this band apart? None other than Jag Panzer's own Harry Coughlin. They get him along, their sound gets morphed together, they release Metal from Hell and Unleash. And the album again personifies it. It is Metal from Hell. It's probably one of the most, to people, like one of those shittiest productions ever, but man, it works. Lyrics and everything, almost what you expect from like a black metal band practically, but it's like a mixture of all. This was the first, and I think this is where it really was kind of done pretty good. While later on, Satan's Hosts have kind of come back to that sound because they got Harry Coughlin back, and their sound is a little more close to this, but on the thrashier side, way thrashier, and having a much better production. But still, great stuff, and it's also got the Midnight Wind because it's the Skull Records reissue. It's a great fucking album. And the Midnight Wind's also great as well. Not nearly as, I guess, evil sounding as Metal from Hell, but still good. Oh yeah, and also on that album it has like a Jag Panzer cover, or a song that was recorded by Black Sunday. But to me, I don't know which one's better, the Jag Panzer version or the Satan's Host version, because both of them are great. Still, that ends this video. It's pretty much a long video, but I wanted to get this out there, so until next time, I'm Heavy Thrash Shed, and I am out.